Welcome to Introduction to CSS. As we had already said, CSS is cascading style sheet. It is a language used to control presentation and styling of web pages. Actually, that presentation will happen on a document. CSS is written inside the HTML. I'll go straight to syntax of CSS. The syntax of CSS normally looks like this. I hope you can see it. It normally looks like this. We have a selector. Then we have the declaration part. We have the selector and the declaration part. Inside the declaration part, we have property and value. So the main key things that you should get or conceptualize is that when you're talking of CSS syntax, you should be able to know what is a selector, like p tag, h tag, p tag, body tag or body element, h1. These are what you're calling selectors. Then the property is either the color, the size, and so on and so forth. The value will be either the color that you're calling like orange, the size of the font like 16 pixel, 24 pixel, and so on and so forth. So the key thing that I want you to master is that you should know that there is when you're talking of CSS syntax, there is the selector, property, and value. And you should be able to differentiate between those properties. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is type of CSS. We have three types of CSS. We have inline, which we have already looked at. We have internal, we have also looked at it. And we have external. This is the one that we have been working with, which is the main thing. The main thing, when you're good in the external, when you're good in coding external, you're good to go. Now, let me go straight to internal, not internal. Let me go straight to inline CSS. I'm going to share the slide. I'm going to share with you this slide so that you can go through it. Now, inline CSS. What is inline CSS? This is a method that we have used. This is whereby we put, this is where we put the CSS, the selector, and our declaration. Remember, we are talking of the word selector and declaration. And declaration has two parts. The declaration has two parts. It has the property and it has, I want you to master that, and it has the value. The selector is whereby we talk of the tags or the element. Like you can talk of body tag, p tag, h tag, so many other elements that are used in list tag, another list tag, table tag, and so on and so forth. Those are what I'm calling the selectors. Then inside that selector, you must declare the property and the value that you want it to show. Like if you want it to show color yellow, you have to say p color equals yellow. So p is the selector, color is the property, and value is the color. Let me show you with this one. You can see this one. You can see this one here. The P is the selector. Then we have our declaration. Inside the declaration, you have color. You have another property that is, we have color as a property. We have font size as a property, and we have values like orange and 16 pixel. That is the syntax of the CSS. I was talking about inline. Inline CSS looks like this, and you can see it. We have declared our selector inside our p tag directly, and that's why you're calling inline. It is inside here. We have the style, we have the color. The color is the property, and blue is our value that has been applied inside. I'll go next to the next one, which is called external. No, not external. Internal CSS. The difference between inline and external CSS is that in internal CSS we declare our CSS code up there on the head tag. Yeah, and we write the code on the same page. Even in inline, the code is in the same page that you are styling. Also in internal, the code of the CSS code should be on the same page, should be on the same page with what we are writing on the HTML. Remember, the work of the CSS is to style the HTML. So it is declared up there as I'm going to show you, like this one. So this one is in between. This one is in between the crossing tag of title and here down there, and this our CSS. Now we have a selector, which is the body, and we have the declaration. We have two declarations here. We have font and we have background color. Then we have various Arial, sans serif, and then the hexadecimal color. This is a hexadecimal number representing a color. It is good to use hexadecimal numbers for colors that you cannot be able to get their names. That is the purpose of using hexadecimal. Now down there we have another element. We have another element that is h1. Inside the h1, which is now in CSS, we call it the selector. Inside the h1 selector, we have two properties. We have color property and we have font size property, and we have value blue and 24 pixel. We have another selector p, which is a p tag in the HTML, but in the CSS we call it p selector. We have color inside the p selector. We have these properties. We have color property, we have margin property, and we have value green, and we have 20 pixel value, and we have crossed this. We have crossed the CSS. You will find that this CSS declaration is put on the same page, but within the header, the head element, not the header, within the head element, whereby a CSS rule is placed inside the opening and closing of style. Inside that tag on the heads, this method is used to define style for multiple elements on a single page. It simply means it cannot be accessed on other pages. Even in inlet cannot be accessed for other pages. But the external and the most used one can be accessed for any other page within a site. Even if you have 100 pages, you will use external CSS to style your pages. So I will go straight to external CSS. External CSS looks like this. The first thing that you're seeing here, this is a CSS code. Inside the CSS, this CSS code have to be, you can put it in a different folder or in the same folder with your HTML file. But if you put it in a different folder, when you're calling it here, when you're linking it here, you have to put that folder that the external CSS file is here. Now let me go back to the code. The code is as it is like this. I don't need to repeat myself. These are things that you have done that we normally have in the CSS code or in the CSS syntax. We have the selector like body, h1, p1. We have declaration, and inside the declaration you have properties and values, which you can see them. Then inside here, now this is where we are applying the styling. This is where we are applying our styling, and the styling link to an external CSS file which link to the HTML. That is it. That is what I wanted us to tackle. before I finish up, I want you to note this, that it is very, very important for you to be practicing, or the best practice for programming is to use external CSS for better organization and maintenance of your code in future. It is very useful for larger projects whereby styles need to be reused across multiple multiple pages. The next video that I'll be producing should be about now how we apply these three type of CSS. Thank you for watching.